Greetings, troopers. Welcome to the showcase video of the Acclamator Candaserri. In this video, I will talk about the several features of this acclamator and how to use it to your advantage. I will also showcase what can be found on the ship together with a general tour of this place, and I will show off a script that might be useful for nighttime operations on this ship or with this ship. A couple of statistics about this vessel. It has around 1200 to 50 to 1300 objects. That makes it not the lightest ship in the arsenal, but the ship has a full interior, has a full outer shell that is collidable. And that is where it draws at least a good portion of its objects from or asset count. As I just stated, the entire outside of the ship has a collision on it, so that means that if you come in with your aircraft and you manage to hit the side of the acclamator and you don't actually go into the door, you will most likely injure yourself or even worse, blow up your own aircraft because you're flying into a solid wall. Then, the entire ship has a full interior. This interior can be completely navigated on foot if you want to, but do be advised, it is a little bit large. It is still an acclamator, and there are several features set up like teleporter scripts, so you can navigate easier between decks of the ship. This acclamator fits a whole range of vehicles, ranging from the smallest ones like the AT-RTs to the juggernauts or a full range of aircraft. It also this also features my script to remote control turrets from terminals, and these are turrets that you cannot find in your UAV terminal that you carry on you in your person. And lastly, I have a trigger set up from which I hope to fix an issue on this ship, where if it is nighttime and you look up, the light will dim, and if you look down it will appear to be bright again, but as you try to walk around the ship is fairly dark even with lights around. So a script that I have tried to make hopefully fixes this issue. The script and everything has already been tested in multiplayer and it works. As a matter of fact, I'm recording this from a multiplayer session with myself and myself here. Yes, I'm running a clone of myself on a different system. So the ship itself, as you can see, it's not your usual acclamator. What's the main difference about the normal acclamator that you would see from Legion Studios, for example? Well, this is the Cobra one. You have all the little details. For example, you have the torpedo tubes. Mine don't have an interior because the interior is missing in the pieces. It would only be there as its whip or work in progress ship. But also, well, the stop hanger. This was a special request from a friend of mine that wanted to have a acclamator that had a little bit more capabilities for aircraft for their pilots to take off from, and this top hanger will certainly provide that to him. Also, with the normal Cobra model of the ship, you would have a top hanger, but I felt like the top hanger was not. It wasn't interesting enough. It looked to be very plain and a quick thing that was made just to have it, but it wasn't really worked out, in my opinion. It wasn't really fleshed out. Now, another thing that you might be sad about is there is no interior for the bridge. From what I've been told, that interior is still coming at some point, but when I don't know. That will be added once that part is out, and then we will be able to play with it for briefings and stuff. But let's go to the inside of the ship. Let me show you around a little bit. You got a door right here. This beautiful door. This can actually open up, and it can go to a horizontal position or slightly beyond the horizontal position. There's also one on the opposite side that can open up. And these all are both fully collidable, so you can walk up on them, and they will protect you from enemy fire as well. So the inside, it's not your normal inside where it is a straight up wall and that's it. No, you got these catwalks. You can actually navigate these catwalks. You can go through the doors, but you can also walk around the doors. You can go up to the highest, or well, almost the highest level, basically hangar of the ship. And you got small little hallways that you can navigate through to traverse the ship in the back hallways of the ship. First of all, what do we have here for when we enter the ship? Well, we have the main landing bay where you can land your aircraft and pick up your infantry. But this is also where you have your spawners for the vehicles. Now, I've set up the vehicle spawners in such a way that one spawner is one vehicle, but you can obviously modify it to suit your needs. I have set it up in such a way so you have your normal box speeder right here, the one with the sidecar. I've set it up for the ATRT, the RTT, the ATTE, the ARX 200s, and then your saber tanks. And I have left one open for any miscellaneous vehicles. So you can keep it if you want to, but you can also change it up to your liking. In the end, this ship, together with all the other compositions that I've made in the past, is for you to use, and to make sure that you can use it, you have full permission to change these things up so it suits your needs perfectly. So then, yeah, there are some catwalks clipped in, but I didn't see a different way of doing it at this time. That does, however, mean that our ladders poking through the bottom of the ship, but I think that is a minor thing, a minor detail, a minor price to pay for this composition. Now, you have two doors here that you can actually go through. These go to hallways behind or at the rear of the ship. Got a couple of rooms around here and a staircase up. Either staircase goes to one of the catwalks that again will go through the hangar of the ship, and these will lead up to another set of hallways and another staircase that goes up. There is room here for you to place rooms if you want to, but I have not done so. I felt like a long hallway with some doors that could not be opened was the theme to go for. You can go up again a little bit further, and on this level you basically are on the hangar level. And it goes to either side of the ship. You have a staircase on either side of the ship as well, mirrored. And the first way it leads to, if we go straight on, is a munitions room. This is on both sides of the ship, and this massive door you see in here also works. It opens up to it goes up if it opens up. The console, however, stays in place, so you can still close and open it from this side, but also from the opposite side, right here. But you can also walk through the hallway around the door if you want to. One thing that I have to say is this staircase, or this ladder that is around here, does not work. I have disabled the simulation of this room specifically, which also disables the access to this ladder. This is because if you were to climb this ladder, you would not face the ladder. No, you would face sideways onto the ladder. I feel like that breaks your immersion a little bit. Then to continue on, we can go up again if you want to. Then you can get up to the higher level of of this room. So it is not a huge deal that the ladder doesn't work. You can still get up to here, and you can continue on to even higher. And this will bring you to the overlook of the hangar, where you will also find yourself 5 terminals from which you can control the turrets. One note for here as well, these doors, they don't actually open up. I have actually placed a shield in the middle of them, just to protect yourself if you want to walk through. Because these doors don't work, there is no collision on them, so you will be able to walk right through them. Then another note on these windows, there is an actual texture in place that will prevent you to fire through these windows. So don't be fooled, you cannot actually look out the window and fire down from this position, but also other aircraft cannot fire in, so it will protect you. Then these turrets I will come back to later. We will first continue our tour of the ship. So this is the opposite side, and this goes down again to the munitions room right here. Basically a mirror. Then, if you come out of the munitions room, you have the hangar where you have your first 6 lads sitting around, and you got 2 rearmed repair pads. These have been set up with my consoles for rearm, repair, refuel scripts, and also your change the pylon change script. And that works on the other one as well. Then you have 6 lads sitting here in storage. There is a trigger set up on either side that turns off the engines of these aircraft in case these are turned on upon mission load. It also means that the fuel is removed from these aircraft, and as soon as a player walks into the zone and to get into a lead gun ship, those aircraft will all be repaired. Either these 3 aircraft get repaired or these 3 aircraft get repaired. These are separate triggers. And they also get their fuel back, so you don't have annoying engines running all the time because the lead gunships decided to turn their engines on. Then we have a little bit of a shielded hangar as well, where you have your 3 lead Cs and a couple more regular lead gunships. Then we have a top hangar, the one I just showed you before as well from the outside, and here we have more lead gunships, a couple of ARC 170s, PTLB Y-wing bombers, C-95 and V-19 torrent fighters, and we also have that mirrored on the opposite side. But as you can see, we are missing 2 lead gunships here because I have opted for a setup with about 16 lead gunships on this ship. But obviously, again, it's up to you. You can change it if you want to. So, how do you as a pilot or as a player access these hangars and traverse through the ship? Before I go and show you the rest of the ship, you actually have these doors here with the segments, and these are your teleporters or your elevators, and these also go down towards the infantry bay of the ship that I will show you momentarily. But from this you can go down, but also up to the top hangar, and you will appear on this side or on this side. Now, one added feature for here to make sure that you cannot actually be hit by enemy aircraft from the top are these ray shields, and these ray shields can be enabled or disabled from this terminal right here. So that is a nice bonus feature of this ship as well. Then, to go down towards the rest of the ship, if we go up these 2 ramps, there is one on either side, you find yourself the 2 juggernauts. It is actually wide enough for the juggernaut to fit through here, but only barely. So these are the only 2 juggernauts on the ship, and it might require a couple of 3-point turns or 4-point turns in order to straighten yourself out and drive out of the ship. So you have 4 ATTEs sitting around here as well, and a couple of crates just to spice up the area. and fill out the area a little bit. But again, here as well, you can remove the crates and save up a little bit of frame rate if you want to, or you can change it up to what you want to have. Then we have two small doors, one on each side of the big door and the big door itself. The big door can be opened up on this console, and there's one on the opposite side as well. And the smaller doors are your normal doors where you have to look at the door itself to open it up. Let's go through the door. This is where we enter into the inventory area, where you have your arsenals, you have your respawn / medical room, and you have your side hallways, the smaller doors, and these are your teleporters to navigate between the upper levels of the ship. There's also a option to go to the observation deck, and there's one, that option is there for either side, because there's also one here. This will only get you to the observation deck on the right side of the briefing room, and the other one off the left side, of course. Same big door, same console that you have to interact with to open up this door, and then we get into the briefing room. Briefing room is nice and spacious. It's quite tall. I had to make it so it looked larger than it actually is, because it is actually a fairly shallow or a short briefing room. It's quite wide and a bit tall, but there is not much more room that I had to work with within the model, because there's actually a wall blocking me, as you can see right here. So I was working within the constraints of the model itself. Then you have this little pedestal you can stand on. I have set it up in such a way where either billboard is a screen and can be used for a slideshow by using the ACE slideshow module, which is placed down here in the briefing room as well, so your mission makers, or basically your mission makers, can throw down some images in their mission files and then use the ACE slideshow module to make yourself a nicer briefing if you want to. If you don't want that, I could recommend you to delete the slideshow option or module and delete those 3 billboards, so it looks a little bit different, a little bit more public colored style with the walls behind it. This terminal up above would be the controller for those slideshows. Then a little bit of a nostalgia trip. This is something we have had on our Acclamator back in the 74th. We always had a pedestal from which we could do our briefings, where leadership would meet, and I wanted to make it so it came back again. A little bit different objects used, different consoles, but I think it still came out nice, and it will serve its purpose to do briefings on, for example. Then we have our observation decks. If you have reserves or if you have guests and you want to have them watch you from the side, that is totally possible. However, these doors, they will only get you back to these smaller hallways, and they won't get you up to the higher levels of the ship. So that is one downside to them. I could set them up so they could also teleport you up to the higher levels of the ship, but I didn't want to do that. That is a specific design choice. One more thing for the medical room. These 3 consoles are your medical stations, and you are able to grab a zoo seal from those. For the arsenal room itself, the locker on the left side and the locker on the right side are your arsenals, but also the hologram troopers on the holo tables. And this console in the middle is where you can grab your permissions from for engineer, medic, or EOD. So that is the basic layout of the ship. I will go in and teleport my body in a moment so I can show you a little bit more of the ship, because I mentioned that you can drive these vehicles out, and obviously there is no way to drive this out. So let me first go in and respawn so you can see what the respawn system is like. I'm using the empty marker as a respawn option on the ship instead of using the cryopods now. This is a system that I technically prefer, but if you want to use a different system, just make sure to delete the empty marker that has the variable respawn on it. So as you can see, in purple, this is where you can get your treatment from the medical facility. These arsenals have been set up so you can have the regular arsenal, but also the ace arsenal. And as said, here you can grab your permissions for engineer EUD, but you can also remove them if you want to. These two gong droids don't do anything, they are just there for aesthetic reasons. So that is where you open up the big door. Same on this end. Let's first go and use one side of the elevator system. So the option that we have is take the elevator to the pod observation deck, top hangar and the main hangar. We first go to the observation deck, which is right here. And then as said, you can only go back to the crew deck from that option. This is the top hangar. Here you have that ray shield. In order to disable the ray shield, you just hit the option once and it disables the ray shield for everyone. And you can also enable it again if you want to. And this is how you can go to the main hangar as well. Now, as I just exited those that door and the one up top, that does mean that the one up top has activated the port side of the vehicles up there, and I've just also activated these vehicles on the port side. However, those vehicles, the vehicles inside of there, and the starboard vehicles up top are not activated, so they don't have their engines or they don't have their fuel given back to them. So here we have our refuel, rearm, repair, and you have your change pylons. Obviously there's no aircraft located right here on the pad to change the pylons, but this is how you can do it. And if you prefer to use the normal method of ace interact on your aircraft, change panels that way, then you will have to place down a vehicle or a crate underneath or right on it, but you will have to hide it because there won't be enough room underneath of it to hide a full-fledged vehicle. So this is how you can get down from the top hangar. You have your two doors here that open up, but you also have ladders on both sides to get you down to well, the lowest deck of the ship basically. We will go back up, and then I will show you the turrets. So these doors open up to the top. And turret is up. It is still a bit of a maze for myself as well, so it might take a while for your players to get used to the ship and to its interior and to its the maze of it. As you can see, there's no option to use the ladder here either. So here we have our broken door that isn't correctly set up either yet. So you can just walk through without a problem. And then we have our 5 consoles here. 2 on the port side and the 2 on the starboard side are your terminals from which you can control a turret. These scripts are set up in such a way that if you start controlling a turret, you're the only one that is inside of the turret, and this action is removed from the terminal, or it is disabled from the terminal. until you leave the turret again. And the center console will allow you to reactivate broken turrets, and that I will show you in a moment what that means like. So we are first going to control the first port side turret, which is your 3AS flag turret. I have opted to go for the smaller one because the small one cannot be used from the UAV terminal, whereas the large one can. And I can now control the turret like I am remote controlling it from Zeus. I have set up the flag rounds from the CIS on it because I personally feel like these are better when compared to what normally would be on here with the Saber turrets. So that is what the turret is like. It can rotate 180 degrees from left to right, so 90 degrees to the left, 90 degrees to the right, which means you cannot turn yourself onto the superstructure of the ship. As you can see, the ship does collide, so you cannot shoot through the ship, and that also means the enemy cannot fly through the ship and cannot shoot through the ship either. So you now have two options to get off this turret. You can either hit release UAV controls, which is your default option when you are remote controlling a turret from Zeus or a vehicle or a unit. But I have set up a different option. That call is called stop controlling the turret. If you hit release UAV controls, like I just did, you can no longer interact with the turret. That is while the turret is still alive. Let me get onto the second port turret and use stop controlling the turret option instead. When I use that option, I can get back onto the turret. But how do you fix the turret that you accidentally hit release UAV controls on? Well, there comes this broken turret terminal in. You hit this option will always stay present, and now you can control the first turret again until this turret is destroyed. Now, the second port side turret is basically dead. I'm going to stop remote controlling it, and the option for remote controlling that port side turret, the second one, is now gone. This does not mean that you can reactivate it, because it is dead, the option is gone, and it will no longer come back. And it goes for all the turrets until all turrets are dead, and then you can no longer interact with any of the turrets. So that is the turret, and I've shown you the infantry section of the ship. Let's see if I can show you the big doors. And now I have to make my way out of this place and not get myself stuck here. Because if I teleport myself, I will teleport myself to the ground instead of on the ship. So you can open up this door if you want to, but you can also just walk through the shield right here. So, this door can open up, just like the door on the opposite side. Same options are present on that door. So, open up the left door and it opens up. And you, if you want to, you can walk onto it and nothing bad is gonna happen. You can stay put, and at some point you will drop a little bit. But this does not warrant you the ability to drive off the ship. Well, you can, but there's no way of getting back onto it with your vehicle. For this, I've set up a second option with deploy port side ramp. There's also one on the starboard side, and this deploys yourself a ramp from op tray. And now you can actually drive off your vehicle onto the ground below. This ramp is not infinite. It does go into the ground, as you can see right now, but I can tell you there is a limit to it. So that is something your mission developers have to take into account when placing the ship, that at least one of the side ramps is touching the ground, so you have the ability to drive your vehicle out of the ship. Then what we have is the feature for the lights. I'm going to place my character back in the briefing area or in the infantry area, because I'm gonna show you what would happen. Actually, let me go on and set myself to the outside first, so I can show you what happens normally on this ship during the nighttime. So we're going to set nighttime, midnight, nice and dark outside. As you can see, ship is nicely lit up, but as I tilt my camera up, it becomes darker and darker, till the point where, well, trying to see in this kind of light situation is difficult. If you are a pilot and you are flying your aircraft into the ship this way, you will no longer be able to see your HUD either. So good luck. So with that in mind, I've set up a trigger that allows me to change the aperture of your camera. And I don't know yet if this will be different for each map, but at least I have found the value for the VR map. I can do some testing later on and provide you with values for certain maps like Altis, Stratus and whatnot, but for other maps you might have to tweak the values a little bit. But let's teleport my character, and hey, it's suddenly a lot brighter in here. It might be a little bit too bright for now. I will most likely tweak those settings a little bit, but now you don't have the issue anymore of looking up and the screen going dark, and looking down and the screen going bright again. No, it will actually stay like this, and now you have decent lights across the entire ship, and this will also guide or aid your pilots to fly into and out of the ship. This works for the player and the vehicle. So when you get into a vehicle, it will still be like this, and as soon as you leave the Acclamator from either the top hangar or one of the side doors, you will actually reset your aperture, so you will be able to play normally during the night operations. And this is tested in multiplayer as well, because I got a character sitting out there for which it is fairly dark outside right now. It cannot see. Then what happens if it becomes daytime? Let me skip the time a little bit. After a certain value, the time, let's set up time acceleration. After a certain value, after a certain time of the day, the script turns off, and as you can see, it just became a little bit darker, and now it is bright again. This is because at a certain value the script turns off to prevent the area from becoming way too bright and basically blinding you. Because if I let the script running, you would be blinded right now. It would be well, it would be almost white. You would be looking at an almost full white screen, and that is not ideal. Same if you're standing right here, or if you respawn to here, it will automatically adjust your aperture settings for the time of day, so you can't see around the ship. I will go into the editor and show you what the script is like, so you can see how to change it up. Yes, I do have shadows turned on, so yeah, shadows do like to appear right here. I recommend you to turn off your shadows anyway for StarSim, especially when you're dealing with custom compositions. So that is the basic ship layout, the turrets, what it features. Um, I can show you the ray shield. I'm unable to teleport myself up to the ray shield. It is fully collidable. I'm on full throttle or full collective to go up. And as you can see, I'm stuck right now. And even for me, the ship is still fairly tight, so yeah, I tend to bump into things. So if you want to, you can actually land on the ray shield. I do not recommend it, because if you have a troll going around on your ship who likes to turn off and quickly turn the ray shield back on, you are going to go and explode. And if that's not enough, you might also go to space. And now I'm stuck. So that is me showing you the ship on the server. I'm quickly going to go over to my editor. And then I can show you what I've done with the aperture settings and something you can change. So this is the ship composition itself. And as you can see, there are a whole bunch of triggers around. Like I said, for the lead gunships on either side. And there's a trigger inside of this area for these aircraft. One up top for either side as well, etc. Then we go to the slideshow module. To fill out your images, you just paste in the path of the first image and then separate each image and path by a comma, and then you will be able to set up the interaction name as well for you. And this is a trigger for the aperture change. So if you have issues with it still being too bright outside, then I would recommend you to play with the aperture, set aperture settings right here, and play with the values in these brackets to see what is best for you. The higher the number is, the lower the brightness will be, and if the number is all the way at 0, for example, it will be super bright out on the ship. And to disable this all, you will just have to set aperture to -1. That is also on the deactivation field for when the scripts deactivate. This will look for the sun or moon value to be less than 0.5. So as soon as it becomes nighttime, it will the daytime number, basically what it is, will go down from 1, because during the daytime it is 1, and then it will drop down to basically 0, which means that it is nighttime, and 50% basically this script will start to kick in. So that is what I got set up for you guys. I hope it is a nice ship for you to use. If you find any issues, please report them to me either through Steam or join my Discord channel, where you will be able to catch up with me and ask questions, report issues, or even suggest compositions that you might want to see on the workshop in the future. This is the Acclamator Candaserri. I hope you have fun with it, and that is all.